Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. I'm delighted to say the last couple of shows, it seems like ages now, the last few shows have been sponsored by some form of medication or other because I've been like, but listen to me now, tunes, because this week's Comedy Slab podcast is sponsored by Smarties. Yes. Oof. Now, I have to say, these technically aren't my Smarties. These were, I think, were given to my son and my daughter.
That's theft. That's common theft.
I'm very concerned about their teeth.
So you haven't got any.
So I pre-chew them for them, just to make sure that everything's right. Have you had a Smartie lately?
No, are you going to say they've changed? They changed the formula?
I don't know. I don't know whether they've changed or I've changed. I don't like to think I've changed, but I think I might have done.
I want to warn you that my grandmother was convinced they were making sugar less sweet. It didn't occur to her that perhaps her taste buds were fading a little, bless her.
Was that the one that used to spit her teeth into a cup?
That's her prerogative. They didn't have much entertainment during the war.
Or as you used to call her, I remember, Grandma Gummy. Was that the one?
Lummy Gummy, as she was known, yes.
Oh, dear. Anyway, sorry, let's tell you about this podcast. This is the Comedy Slab podcast. We get together every week. I mean, why? That's what everybody's asking. But alternately, we choose a comedy programme to watch or listen to. And then we chat about what we made of it. And this is the bit where we do the chatting. We're going to play you a couple of clips between now and the end of the podcast. And we'll also give it a mark out of 5 each, giving it a grand total out of 10. As I said, we choose alternately. It was my turn to twos. I'm not going to change it. It was my turn.
Alcoholic Smarties. That's how they've changed.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, rum truffle flavour. I should have noticed. I should have noticed that before I had the first box, shouldn't I?
Or the first pint.
It was my turn to choose last week. And I chose something I've been kind of had one eye on for quite a while. Yes, so Home, which is a Rufus Jones thing that he wrote and starred in. Which we'll talk some more about in a second. But first of all, comedy news. It's down to me as well. Do you get to talk at all in this podcast? Or
Well, I tried to get the odd word in, but you designed it this way. We used to take it in turns to find comedy news. Or on a more relaxed plane, which I suppose usually translated into I hadn't thought of it in time, so you'd found something. But now you've formalised it.
You rumbled me, haven't you? All right, let me tell you what I found. I found this article talking about how social media has changed comedy consumption, and I thought, oh, this is a bit dry. And then I read down, and it said that the reason that this article was alluding to the way that it's changed the way that we consume comedy. So essentially, social media has made it easier for comedy fans to discover new comedy, allowing people to connect with comedy stars easier and keep up to date with what they're doing, creating new comedy stars, and it's even introduced new types of comedy. So they're basically saying it's opened up this huge wealth of comedic talent and comedic material. And I just thought, hang on though, but does that necessarily mean is it better like that or not? I
think what those platforms, which it helpfully points out, you can tell this is written by someone under 30 because I think isn't there a line, I can't find it now, but there's a line in this article that says, some people even remember the days before the internet. And you think, oh, bless.
I didn't say that. Does it really say that?
Sit them on my knee. Something like that, words to that effect. Or, so, yes, we come from the prehistoric days before all those, what I still insist on calling anti-social media, because that's what it is so much of the time.
Yeah.
It's not the full story, though, but it depends what you allow into your life and what you go searching to some extent. Well, is it the same amount of talent is spread more thinly? What those platforms are very good at, which is what I was going to say, was soundbitey type comedy, short bursts. They're fine, and of course, yes, they're if you know where to look, or if you chance upon something, you strike it lucky, you can find longer form stuff. But some of that longer form stuff, maybe the majority of it, is just people putting up entire shows from a pre-YouTube age.
It's funny you should say that, because I've a couple of things on iPlayer. Don't ask me what they are because I can't remember it. But a couple of things on iPlayer. I think they were coming out of BBC Wales, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. We'll have a look at that and see what it was. And then when I looked at them, they were 5 minutes an episode. Well, we've got, for us to do like half an hour to evaluate it, we'd have to wait until they've done 2 series.
Yeah.
Minimum, wouldn't it?
And of course, it'd be, 6 times 5 minutes is not the same as one 30-minute episode.
No.
So, look, I'm glad we are where we are. I like the added layer of material, and there are comedians who've found a voice, owe their entire careers, of course, to social media. And I think YouTube's pushing adverts to that effect at the moment, isn't it? I've seen 1 or 2 of those. But it's more complicated.
Well, would you rather, I sound like one of those Ricky Gervais things to do, would you rather have 2 willies down your trousers or 1 on your head? Would you rather have...
Do I get that choice?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sorry, that was an illustration.
It depends what club you go to, doesn't it, really, I think? What I just wonder whether you'd rather have, because I think I know the answer to this, would you rather have quality or quantity? Because, go on, I'll tell you my answer in a minute, but which would you choose if you had to have one of those? Oh,
because, well, regular listeners will know I'm a Unitarian in that I watch, depending on the platform, the medium. Sometimes I'm an extra large, but no, that's in my dreams, with 1 on my head. Where was I? Who am I? But no, because I tend to not watch an awful lot of TV. Give me quality over quantity any day.
Right.
I'm going to guess that might be your leaning, although you don't have my terrible habit of not watching entire series.
Well, only because I kind of find the choice a bit bewildering, a bit overwhelming, and I don't know whether it's because I'm of that generation. But it does tie in with a conversation that I was watching on email. We both subscribe, is that the word, to this email? How would you describe that thing we subscribe to? We're supposed to have audio jobs, but I've never seen one in the 7 years I've subscribed to it.
It's a type of subscription, yeah.
So it's a subscription group, isn't it? But they were having a conversation about which is my pet hate, is that the audio quality of podcasts. And this guy was saying, I've many's a time where I've liked the content but had to switch off because I couldn't stand the quality.
Mm.
And I think that's part of that's the whole thing, isn't it? Is that once you just fill it up with right, okay, let's get a large amount of something, does that mean that invariably that the quality slips?
Well, no, but I find it reassuring that it looked at one point. I remember the first thing I watched on YouTube, it tells you all you need to know about me. It was a kitten falling asleep. And I thought, is this going to replace TV viewing? But quite honestly, it's the only kitten I've ever watched falling asleep. I've not even watched a real one.
Seriously, is that the first thing you ever watched on YouTube? I can't remember the first thing I watched on YouTube.
No, and it was a seminal moment. I was with my wife at that stage, and we both found it very cute, and we played it more than once. But again, it's not going to satisfy the craving. It's like having a bowl of crisps instead of a full meal.
I love crisps.
Well, you're made out of them, so perhaps you're not the best person to. But I'm not saying it's a terrible slippery slope we've gone down. I think it's fantastic how easy it is to find clips, and very useful for this show. Massively important research tool. The stuff online. I really wouldn't want to go back to a pre-online age, but I don't see it as I might once have done during the age of snoozing kittens, to see it as replacing TV. There's a place certainly for. I mean, you can put a TV show on any platform, and it doesn't have to be called TV, doesn't it? It doesn't have to come out of a box in the corner of your lounge anymore. Hasn't had to do that for years, but I still think there's a hankering for. Well, I mean, look at the boom in Netflix. A hankering not just for a half-hour episode, not just for one series of 6 times half-hour episodes, but a hankering for series after series. I mean, binging, I suppose this is, it's its own kind of addiction, isn't it? But,
I do wonder. Do you ever sit there, and this is the one thing I think, I wonder what it'll do to nostalgia. Whether people will, because we talk, don't we, about the times that we can still vividly remember the watching the young ones and then talking to our friends about it afterwards and quoting the lines, and it doesn't have, there isn't that social cohesion to the internet experience, is there, do you think? And I wonder what that'll do to nostalgia, whether people will look back at it. I mean, as you did, with that kitten's probably dead now, isn't it? It's probably grown into a cat and died and gone through the life cycle now. But I mean,
don't make me feel guilty. I don't think it's my fault just for watching a video of it.
No, I mean the fact that they go around calling you Adrian Lacey the kitten murderer is disingenuous, to say the least, isn't it?
I think it's much neater. It's much more poetic. It's kitty killer.
Kitty killer.
I mean, it's got a certain ring to it. There are worse names to have.
Yeah, but no, I just wonder what it'll do to the nostalgic thing.
I think it finds its own level because we're tribal creatures, and you just find a group that like roughly the same things as you culturally, don't you? I mean, I know loads of people who love the Beatles, or in my crowd are perhaps a disproportionate number of musicians. That's why I was always confused by not YouTube but the Tube, Jules Holland and Paulie Yates, rest of soul, music show, big back in the day, for people of a certain age. Google it. Back in the 80s, I firmly believed that if only you got rid of the bits in between the music show, you'd have a decent music show. But it turns out, who knew that it was the music that was getting in the way for most people. They wanted more sort of entertaining, I don't know, the filler, as I saw it. They liked that bit, and that was the reason they watched. But that wasn't my crowd, because we were watching for the music. Yeah,
I never met anybody who watched it for anything other than. I don't remember anyone going, "Oh, that Jules Holland it's his erudition that I switch on for."
Don't make me laugh too much.
Okay.
Because I still know people who work on that show.
That is a bit like saying that gardeners will switch on the football to look at the grass. That is, I mean, the whole
gardeners watch Gardener's Question Time.
The whole point of a music show is surely to listen. If you're tuning in for that, that's what you're watching, isn't it?
This might be a bit of mission creep. What I'm saying is, I think to go back to the issue of nostalgia, I think it will find its own level because you find your own crowd with shared interests. And guess what? You'll recommend something and your crowd will watch it because they attach importance for reasons I don't fully understand. Oh, sorry, I'm in your crowd. I forgot. I'm in with the in crowd. If you recommend a show and we recommend a show, we have our own Comedy Slab crowd, don't we? So
yeah.
We will still find ways of having that connectedness through the years, hopefully.
All right. Well, all I can tell you is nostalgia ain't what it used to be, but
and I get nostalgic about that gag.
It was a long way in just to do that line, wasn't it? Really. Let's head the short way out. So what can I
through the shop?
I'm going to tell you about Home. Well, it's on Channel 4 right now. If you want to watch both, it only did 2 series. It didn't get commissioned for a 3rd series. I think much to the disgust and confusion of Rufus Jones, its creator, writer, and star. But it is on the All 4 website, so if you want to go and have a look at the All 4 website, go and check that out.
I wasn't sure if you'd pronounced it awful. Is your own.
Every time I say, I mean, I don't mean to, but every time I say, I think, oh, that just sounded like I said awful. I'm going to go back and reiterate that. But it's basically about a couple, Peter and Katy, and Katy's son, John, who go on their first holiday as a family unit together to France, and on the way back they come back with some, I wasn't going to say more than they went away with, but I think they lost some bags in the whole exercise. So they came back with
area.
Yeah, there's at a service area in Calais. So I think it's fair to say they came back with some different things to that which they went with. Had you come across this before, though? Is this one that you'd been aware of as in your Unitarian ways?
It had not been on my cultural radar.
Oh,
I nearly said gaydar. I just stopped myself. So yeah, and when you mentioned it last week, I thought, oh well, that's a new twist on a sitcom, on a domestic, apparently a domestic sitcom with a name like Home in the title. It sounded, quote, ordinary until you mentioned the asylum seeker element of it.
It's a bit like Terry and June with an asylum seeker, isn't it? Terry and June and the asylum seeker.
But that would be an unimaginable show, wouldn't it?
I think June, he stole my slippers. I would have thought so. Shall we waz a clip in and then?
I think it's high wazzing time.
It is that wazzing time again. I normally drag a clip in from the top of the show, don't I, and whatever. But I thought actually,
you shocked me with your choice of well into the show clippage.
As the two characters whose name escaped me from the League of Gentlemen, the two young lads who like the films, would say, there was a lovely bit of acting. They were doing some acting, and I thought, I really like that scene. I think we should use that at the top. So basically, the asylum seeker, which we'll call him at this stage, although of course he does haven't. In fact, we'll call him by his name, can't we? Sami, the asylum seeker. I'm not sure whether they know him as Sami at that stage. Can't remember. But they've kind of discovered him, and they've gone through all that kind of thing, and he sort of goes his own way, and he gets as far as going out into the street and sitting on the wall on the outside the neighbour's house, a couple of doors down. And Peter's wife, Katy, kind of, you can see she's like looking out the bedroom window and kind of feels guilty that he's sat there, sort of sat on his own, and kind of thinks, oh, he's sort of lonely, and heads out there. And that guilt kind of drives her to go out and to sit and have a chat on the wall with Sami.
Beautiful day.
It's turning a bit chilly.
It's just chilly enough, Katy. I love it.
How do you know my name?
In the car. You were talking, I was listening.
Of course.
Puberty, very difficult time for everyone.
Your English is very good, you know.
I teach it in Damascus.
Oh, right, you're from Syria?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a teacher too. At state school, down the road.
State school?
High school?
Ah, me too. They are this tall. And they are very naughty. So naughty. But this year they are all playing truant.
Little Oh, sorry, I see what you mean now.
It's fine. But no swearing. Huh? See me after school.
Do you have a family?
I have a wife and I have a boy.
Are they safe?
Syria to Libya, safe. Boat to Italy, safe. Smugglers take us from Italy, not safe. We got split up, and now no news.
Before I forget, the production credits, do we think it's pronounced Jantaculum?
That's
one half.
Yeah.
Yeah, go with that. And Channel X, so a co-prod for Channel 4, which you'll find on channel4.com. What to say? Well, very simple headline, which is Home Sweet Home. Yeah, so for me, this is the acceptable face, not of the smile com, but it's somehow, it's addressed the issues that I have with what I call smile coms, which is lots and lots of dramas we see now, which, some people are using the term dramedy, but more drama than ED or comedy. So I think this, for me, found a good groove that was believable drama, or drama that involved you, that worked as drama, but with laugh. But I did find myself intrigued yet again, not for the first time, certainly won't be for the last, trying to second guess what you would make of it. And like last time, I'm completely baffled. It went from minute to minute. It was, oh, Shane will love that. Oh, no, he won't like that reference to Brexit and so on.
I found it really odd because if you wrote down on paper what it was about, you could be forgiven for thinking, oh dear, that could be very, very dull and very, very worthy and not really very enjoyable. And I spent a lot of time thinking quite how it's happened. But I think what Rufus Jones has managed to do is to turn a very serious and a very concerning issue into something that is completely realistic, completely believable, and really funny. Now, I do wonder whether it's casting again with this, because I think it's got a great, I mean, the three main characters, Sami, Peter and Katy, I just think not only individually are fabulous, but also they really work together, don't they? Rufus Jones really intrigues me, because I've never, in fact, sometimes I can't recognise it's him, because he changes his voice, he changes his look, he drops weight, he puts weight on. I think he's one of these actors who kind of likes to bend reality a bit. So I kind of always am intrigued to see, because he was in W1A, wasn't he? He was David Wilkes in W1A. Oh, the lovely Izzy, lovely Izzy. He used to go on all the while, like a kind of almost like a Russell Harty kind of character. It
was very camp, if not gay, or camp and gay. And yeah, totally different voices, you say, apart from everything else.
I just, and look as well, it seems to look different in everything he does, but I just loved it. I just thought, how have I not managed to get? I just thought it was, the earnest bits were spot on, and the emotional bits were spot on. The humour was spot on. The dryness of the dry humour side of it was spot. The whole thing, Adrian, for me, it was I just thought a real treat.
Have we found something we actually agree on?
I think if we were sat down and having tea together on our laps, I'd have said to you, Adrian, I wish we'd have had this on plates, because my trousers are very soggy. No, I think, yeah, I do. I don't know. I thought Yusuf Kirkor, who plays Sami, and Rebecca Staten, or Staten, depending on, apologies, Rebecca, if your friends tell you that we've got your name wrong in our podcast. I've got to give her a big mention, because she was Louise in Pulling. Have you ever seen Pulling?
No.
We should put that on the Slab one of the days. I'd be interested to see what you think of that. But she's from the kind of Leek, Penkridge area, which is kind of Cannock, Staffordshire, which is just over the other side of Cannock Chase from me over here.
Right.
So she's a kind of a local lass, which is why she's got that kind of. Did you kind of think she got a Birmingham accent at all?
No, I didn't think Birmingham, but I could hear outside of the M25, which, is about as sophisticated as I get sometimes.
Right. But I mean, I've seen her in other stuff, and I think she's a RADA lass and everything, so she's serious acting chops and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just thought this is, and I can't understand why they didn't go for a third series. And I think Rufus found the same as well, really. I don't think he could understand why they hadn't had a third series of this. I mean, there's a lovely scene after that where, and there wasn't, admittedly, there weren't a lot of laughs in that scene that I chose, but she decides that she's going to help him, doesn't she? She said, no, I'm going to help you. And he thinks she's going to get money out. And he goes, what is this? She says, it's a Cafe Nero loyalty card. It doesn't even got all the stamps on it.
It's only got 2 stamps. He said he couldn't speculate on the coffee market.
Yeah, yes, I'm not able to do that. Yeah, I just thought the whole thing, is, and then like the next scene after that, you just see that it's all unspoken. You just see that the two of them, the husband and wife, are talking about
not husband and wife. I think it's more precarious boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And it's not his son.
They're a couple, aren't they? Which is clever. I see why. At first, I thought, well, I wonder why he chose to do that, but I kind of got it eventually. But then you see as the camera shot changes that Sammy's there having a sandwich in the kitchen. He's already like nobody ever mentioned that, did they? It's just you just see that. No. And I thought it's just such good writing and such good direction. It's I don't know. I loved it.
To the extent that parts of it made me think you wouldn't like it, it didn't worry you that it could be accused of being too politically worthy then?
I don't think it was. I think if you wanted a masterclass in how to tackle a subject like this without, laying it on with a trowel and being worthy, just look at this. If that's how you do it, to me. Did you not? I mean, could you not tell the difference between that and something that I'm trying to think of something that's worthy now? I'll tell you what was worthy. That what was the other Channel 4 thing that we slabbed? We Are Lady Parts. That was, I thought, was more overtly worthy than this by a country mile.
But I'm always interested to know what compels people to create these things, because it's a hell of a job, isn't it? You know, by the time you've got something on screen, unless you happen to be, someone connected to the boss of the network, and there is a degree of that in the business. Apart from that, for the headaches and the hoops you have to go through, for every one program you see on the screen, there must be at least a dozen which fall by the wayside, and they might be years into development, and so many doors you have to knock on. So why would you be committed to that? I mean, do we know anything about Rufus Jones's politics? I didn't go down that particular potential rabbit warren or anything like that.
Well, I mean, he's an actor in London, isn't he? I mean, you could have a wild stab in the dark, couldn't you? I suppose, really.
Well, that's why I thought you might not like it. I thought there were too many liberal assumptions underlying it.
And I think, I mean, but that is the thing, isn't it? Isn't that the point? Is that you can create something without stamping it with your own personality. I mean, that to me, that is the art. In as much as he creates, I always think he creates characters. All the things I've seen him in, I've always thought he goes up to the line, but he never goes over it. With this guy, this character that he plays, he goes up to the line of being a pompous fool, but he never kind of goes over into wild farce. He just kind of knows which side of the line to be all the while, I feel. And I think, in the same way, when you write a script, he might think one thing, but he doesn't have to put that. You don't have to wear your heart on your sleeve. I think that's part of the problem these days, is that everybody wants to tell everybody what their politics, sexuality, blood group, favourite flavour of crisps are. We don't need to know. We don't need to know.
It was enough to find out you just like crisps and leave it there.
Exactly. I mean, people,
without preaching.
Exactly. I'm not going to force cheese and onion down people's necks. If they don't like cheese and onion, don't have cheese and onion.
Yeah, you'll see what for. But I now wince on your behalf. I think you've invaded my subconscious.
Oh.
Yes, you have become my illiberal self. He delivers a line at one point about wanting to deliver a message to the government, which is why he voted for Brexit. And it's in the context of, we're in the world of illegal immigrants, asylum seekers.
Yeah.
And Katy comes back with, what was the message you wanted to send? I'm a TW. Yeah, exactly. Now you're laughing.
Yeah.
I can see you on camera here as we're connected by Skype.
Yeah.
So I should have laughed at that point, but I'm actually thinking, Shane won't like that. He won't be laughing at that.
No, I thought it was funny. I mean, it's a good line. But I mean, this is part of the problem, isn't it now, is that, and this is why people like John Cleese say that, wokeness, for want of a better description, is, or political correctness, whatever you want to call it, is ruining comedy, is because exactly that, is because people are thinking, should I be offended on a third person's behalf? And missing whether it's a good gag or not. I mean, it was just a good gag, because you kind of think, well, he wears it well, doesn't he? He probably is a TWAT or whatever, so I don't know, but it kind of worked. It was funny. I don't get offended by that. They're not, that's her view and that's his view, and these are just two individuals, and so what?
I'll try and be less jumpy in future. I put my, what would it be, a Shandar. I must put that down before watching the programme.
Yeah. I mean, because it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, you either find something funny or you don't. I mean, like if you're offended by it, then presumably you go, I'm offended by this, and you switch it off. I'm always amazed that a guy left a comment on our YouTube channel the other day, and he'd obviously listened to one of the episodes, and he just put something like, just shut up. SHUDDAUP, which I kind of thought was quite nice. But you kind of think, what? I'm always intrigued. I'm never offended, but I'm always intrigued as to what gets people to go, I'm going to tell them I am. I'm going to tell.
Yes. And furthermore, it'll probably work. It will have the effect I intend.
Yes, they won't do another one after this. That would be it. But yeah,
we obviously, we somehow motivated him, didn't we? Rather than, because most people just walk away. if you wanted to shut up, you don't listen to the podcast. Of course, we never encourage switching us off, but it's always an option.
But I always, and like I say, people will go, oh, you're just being critical. Well, I always think that we always try, and I think we do try really hard to be constructive in what we say we feel and why we're feeling it. But yeah, I think there's too much people worrying about what other people will think and whether other people will find it offensive or whatever. It's like, when you the issue of race and people being offended, the majority of people who are offended are white people being offended on behalf of people that they imagine will be offended that they probably don't even know. And you kind of think, if you're actually the offended person, that's one thing. But if you're being offended by proxy, it's something else. Can I just mention, there's just a wonderful scene where the police come round the house and Sami tries to prove that he's kind of fitting in and everything. And he picks up a jar of Marmite and he goes, oh, my favourite, he says, chocolate spread. And he sticks a spoon in and eats it. And then he looks like he's going to cry at one point, doesn't he, when he's like tasting what Marmite?
That was a gorgeous moment. And that looked even better the second time through because we try and view these things twice. It's details like that it's a cut above your average show, isn't it? Almost literally in the vision cutting sense.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is that, you can go from that kind of scene to, that the one you mentioned about Brexit or, the clip that we've just heard or the clip that we're going to hear. And I don't know. I just think it was so finely balanced and so well balanced that I thought it was a masterclass. I really did.
And also, the other part of the wince fest, but only to the credit of the show and the writing, the performing, not unconnected from the fact that my girlfriend has an 11-year-old daughter, the acerbic asides from the son, Oakley Pendergast. He's my first Oakley, I think. I've never come across an Oakley.
No, I'm not.
But his character name is the somewhat more common name, John. Obviously, he's, some great lines put into his mouth, but well played as well, well underplayed as well. The idea that Rufus Jones playing the boyfriend, Peter Guest, is as much on approval with his mum as Sami, the illegal immigrant stroke asylum seeker.
And that's, you see, at the start of it, I'm thinking, why has he made that a stepson, a step relationship? And it, like, all of a sudden,
it's a modern family, though, isn't it?
But it hits you, doesn't it? I mean, there's that, as you say, you exactly hit the nail on the head. There's that parallel between him and Sami. They're peasing, and at one stage, they're both sleeping on the sofa together.
Well, that's a lovely, tender scene. Don't want to give too much away, but yes, what was it? Exiled by a ruthless power.
Yeah,
as Sami says. Likening Peter's girlfriend, Katy, to the ruthless dictator al-Assad in Syria.
Oh, unbelievable! Yeah, brilliant. Should we have another clip? And because I can't remember, I'm hoping this one has got a bit more comedic content in it. Otherwise, people will go, "Oh my god!"
We got you to blame because you chose it.
I did. I do apologise. In the second clip, anyway, the police, as I mentioned, the police turn up at the family home because in one of the initial scenes, Katy initially makes a 999 call to report the man in their car as he was then. And Sami, the asylum seeker, ends up being taken to a processing centre. Peter, of course, trying to be the gallant person in all of this, goes with him in the police van. They split the two of them up and we catch up with Sami, who's in an interview room with two officers.
My name is Sami Ibrahim, and I wish to claim asylum in the United Kingdom.
Mr. Ibrahim.
I love United Kingdom. Winston Churchill, Elizabeth II, Top Gear, even the one with Joey. It is my dream to live here.
We are not interviewing you.
I don't understand.
Can we get you an interpreter?
What?
You said you didn't understand. You inferred you needed an interpreter.
I implied it. You inferred it. Can I get you an interpreter?
This isn't QI.
I don't know where my family is. Help me. Help me, please.
Today is not an assessment. Today is a screening. We take details. We will then ask you to attend a more in-depth interview at a later date. Do you understand?
Yes.
You arrived in the vehicle of Mr. Peter Guest.
Yes. Peter is a good man.
That's not important today.
I owe him.
Sorry?
I owe him. That is how you say it, yes? I owe him.
How much do you owe him?
A lot.
Smuggled him into the country and smuggle him out. I'm the innocent one here. I'm Mandela. I'm Cliff.
Is that Cliff as in the Richard variety? What meaning squeaky clean?
Well, no, meaning the fact that he was vilified in the press, wasn't he? When the BBC turned up on the police raid,
wrongly accused.
Yeah, and
I'm being a bit dopey. I should know.
I just love the fact that those are his 2 points of reference: Nelson Mandela and Cliff Richard. I just thought it was excellent. I've got to say, I mean, just the writing again. You know, this whole Sami's reference point was, he wanted to be a citizen of the United Kingdom. Winston Churchill, Elizabeth II, even Top Gear, even the one with Joey.
Yeah, I only got that a second time through. Joey, of course, Joey from Friends, played by Matt LeBlanc, who joined the Top Gear team in later years on the Beeb, wherever it was.
Do you know the other line that I really and I thought, and it really put me in mind of like a kind of Yes Minister style of writing was that bit when he was saying about, can I get you an interpreter? He said, you inferred you needed to. He said, no, you implied it. I implied it, you inferred it. Can I get you an interpreter? This isn't QI. I thought that you could hear that in something like Yes Minister or Yes Prime Minister, couldn't you? It's that kind of clever wordplay.
It's very, very crisp, very economical. There's no fat, is there, to cut off. He's already done that at the writing stage.
Yeah, very clever. One final thing I've got to mention, because I thought it was so clever. Did you notice in the scene where Sami has a shower and there's just the slightest hint that he's got scars on his back?
Oh, yes. And again, not laboured and not deep scars such that it would be so in your face.
No.
But it's just a fleeting moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, to me, that summed up the delicate touch with which it had been written and put together, and just a very clever piece of work. Very clever piece of work. And if you're looking for something to go and have a binge on for a couple of series, maybe, then head over to the Channel 4 website and have a look. Anyway, it's time for us to stick some numbers on it, isn't it, I guess?
Yes. Can I just say, so you delved into episode 2, but you haven't been into series 2 at all?
No.
I've got a feeling you might do.
I will be over there. There having a look, definitely having a shufty. Yeah. I'll finish off series 1 first, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how series 2 goes, because it's not always an easy thing to do, is it? Make a second series of something that's been, so clever.
Well, speak to Alan Partridge about that.
Well, give me a second series, so.
But the other thing is, just very quickly, I wondered whether series 2 took it far enough so that Channel 4 thought, well, we can't necessarily take it any further. But that seems unlikely, particularly as Rufus Jones wants a third series. So just throwing it out there, but that's without having seen any of the second series. I thought pretty early on, which is unusual for me to think of a score out of 5 when I'm watching something. It's usually on reflection after the second viewing, in the case of TV. But I thought early on, this is a 4 out of 5. So that shows how quickly it won me over. And I don't want to revise that. Not quite 4.5, but certainly that's a very positive thumbs up with a 4 out of 5 from me.
That's where I am as well. I mean, probably any higher than that, you'd be looking at really strong characters, the kind of, for me, it'd be, and I'm not speaking on your behalf, but for me, it'd be like the Partridges or the Saxondales or the Count Arthur Strong. So you've got that added dimension as well, but a very, very handy piece of work. It's a 4 from me as well, actually. So 8 out of 10 for Home.
Absolutely. Now, you're talking of Home. Let's put the work on the end and give you some homework for next week. See what I did there.
I did.
Shocking, isn't it? Shocking. Now, this connects with something we slapped recently. He said, struggling to find the name of the character, ending in the title. Hang on.
Yeah.
You've got to wait till we've recorded the full show before going back to your addiction of alcohol-infused Smarties.
I just thought we'd done so well. I was just going to reward myself while you were talking. I'll eat them quietly, I promise you. Come on, carry on.
It's not remotely off-putting. Ever the showman.
Yeah.
It's half an inch from showman to show off. But anyway, what was the name of the character with the title ending isn't normal? Alma. That's it. So if I was to say to you, we couldn't get any higher, I'd be quoting from The Doors. So probably that's not safe from a copyright point of view. But what would be the name of the artiste in the title this time? If I say she's not playing a character, she is herself. Remember the name of the actor?
What was your question?
That's a very roundabout way of saying who played Alma, because her name is in the title of this show. Alma isn't normal.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. We don't hold these things for more than a week or two. Sophie Willan. It's Sophie Willan's Guide to Normality, which, if you've seen Alma, I suppose it's referencing that again, isn't it? Alma isn't normal. Sophie Willan's idea of normality may or may not coincide with yours and mine. This is a radio show on BBC Sounds as we speak. And because it's only a 15-minute, I think I discovered it. So it's in the classic, if you think in terms of linear Radio 4, BBC Radio 4, available throughout the world, but on BBC Sounds as well as on the airwaves in the UK. It's the 11 o'clock slot, which is 15-minuters. So 2 lots of 15-minuters. I thought we could stretch to 30 minutes to Slab, which is the episode's called Do Monogamy and Be Polite. So that's Sophie Willan's Guide to Normality. You'll find on BBC Sounds. Was on BBC Radio 4 just the other night as we speak. And will be there for a while, we trust.
So
2 episodes.
So this is after
previously outlined.
She made this after she made Alma's Not Normal, did she?
I don't know until I do my Slab research.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to be cagey about that.
No.
That's next week's
not at all.
question.
Not
next
at all.
Week's answer.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it. I think you will, but anyway, shouldn't try and second guess you. That's usually the recipe for getting it 180 degrees in the wrong direction.
Don't worry about me. I'll do me. You do you. Don't worry about me. I'm all right.
Do worry about me.
I'm all right. I've got my Smarties. I'm going to be okay. Right?
Well, I worry, so one Smarties tube leads on to another, and then that's the rocky road to ruin.
I'm like your granny. I've got my Smarties. I've got my glass I can spit my teeth into. I'm fine, mate. Honestly. Trust me.
Well, as long as you've got your Sterident, you'll be fine.
Who was it said on the day today? Trust me, I'm a stomach. I think it was Chris Morris.
That's as bizarre now as it was then.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Am I doing anti-social media or are you doing your platforms first?
Go on, I don't mind. Shall I do my platforms first just to mix it up a little bit? Mix it up a bit, eh?
Oh,
little bit
danger.
We're on Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeart Radio, Spotify, YouTube. Why not go to YouTube and leave a comment, preferably in capital letters, which is the keyboard version of Green
Shut
Pen.
up!
Yeah, shut up!
I hate you, I do. I've never liked you.
We're on most great podcast catchers. But as we often say, if you can go along and listen to us on Spreaker, that'd be good for us. That's where the money comes rolling in. Thank you.
On Twitter, and do look out, I'm going to eventually get round to putting up a photo, which I think you'll find amusing, Shane, as will our listeners and Twitter followers, if you will. On Twitter, we are at Comedy Slab. And on Facebook, we've also got a Facebook page with the same handle, which is at Comedy Slab. I don't know why it takes me so long to think of it each time. It's not like I haven't said it 179 times now. So do like the latter, follow us on the former, enjoy the photo I'm eventually going to put up from Brighton seafront. I'll leave that little tease there. And because that's what I like, little teas, but a big pot to get them out of. What else can I say? Personal recommendation, always hugely valued. Friends and family, if you could pass on the message, we'll get the word around eventually, increase our tribe. And lastly, but in no way leastly, if you could find your way to Apple iTunes, podcast, whatever it is, Apple Podcasts, /iTunes, give us a nice juicy star rating there and perhaps a nice flattering comment. We would love you indefinitely as if we don't love you already.
Yeah, if you can go to Pipplodcast and just give us a vote there, that would be lovely. So to leave you for this week, thank you very much for your company. It's been a pleasure. To leave you, I'd like to choose a famous quote from Adrian's Granny Gummy, who famously used to say,
I'm not quite sure how you're spelling that, and how dare you dishonour the memory of Granny Gummy, as she now is.